John Corsi, welcome to the podcast.
Hello, Paul. Thanks for having me.
Excited to have you here. I feel like you're someone that I did cross paths with at school. You were in A4 as a plebe. I was in C4, so we had many reasons to be walking quickly by each other in the early days.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
So catch us
Yeah.
up on where you're at now and what's going on.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, and I appreciate you doing this. I think it's been great to catch up with other classmates, and I tell people, everybody that asks me about West Point, they'll ask me, whether it's parents of interested students here in the local area, in high school or anywhere. And I always tell them the best part about it, the education's great. The experience in the military is great, but the best part about it are the people you meet and your classmates. And my life since I was 17, where I met a few people at the Ravenna Army Arsenal taking the PT test to get in to West Point. From then on, I mean, my life has been influenced by our classmates significantly throughout. So I appreciate you doing this and having me on.
My pleasure.
So, yeah, today, I mean, I'm joining you from my home in Charlotte, North
Yep.
Carolina. And I've lived here I moved here in 96
Oh wow.
and have been here most of the time since. I'm working now in Georgia for the most part, but I'm home today and still get here on the weekends as much as I can.
If you were in Charlotte '96 to today, what a lot of change you have seen.
Yeah, no, this community has really grown. Yeah, I had 4 years where I went out to California,
Yeah.
but other than that, I've been here, and yeah, from I remember there were two buildings downtown with Hugh McCall and Ed Crutchfield fighting it out between I think it was NCNB at the time
Right. Right.
and the other bank and anyway, it's grown a lot since then. Yeah.
It's become quite a hub for finance, right? Is that did I
It
get that right?
has.
So
It
yeah,
has. And but my career, I spent 21 years with here in Charlotte with a national gypsum company, and
yeah,
in manufacturing, and so I made drywall. Phil, Paul, that's
well,
what I made
we're all
drywall
surrounded
most of
with
my
it.
career. Yeah, that's right.
So,
Somebody's got to do it.
if you're a classmate and you see drywall, think of John.
That's
So,
right. Yeah. In fact,
right?
the company I'm with now, it's a German company called Grenzebach. I was a customer of theirs
Okay.
for many years, and then had an opportunity to lead the North America Business Forum. So I started that early 2025.
Okay. And you head of steam. You feel like you've been doing this for a while, or no, this is not a leading question, but I know some folks are knocking off now. Others are continuing on. Where's your head on that?
Right now, it's a wide variety of businesses, and
Right.
the international aspect to it is kind of interesting. So I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now.
Good.
But I tell people some days I feel like I'm on the 15th tee box, and some days I feel like I'm on the 18th green, and
Right.
I'm on the fourth putt. So
Right.
it just depends, but I'm enjoying it right now. It's interesting.
Right. Then there's that day you wake up and say, I'm in the 19th hole having a salad. So that's it. I'm done.
That's right. Yep.
That's great. Now, your profile, which I appreciate you sending in, it says you have a mixed family with a lot of kids from the mixed family and grandchildren. You got a lot going on there.
Yeah, we're busy. So, my wife and I have been married now a little over 12 and a half years,
Hmm.
and we each brought three children into the marriage. So we're a blended family of six, kind of like the Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
And my three range in age from 35 down to 29, and hers 41 down to 24.
Okay.
And but the kids all six of them went to the same high school, so they know each other. And
Really?
anyway,
Okay.
we've done a lot to try to foster a blended family,
Yeah.
and they enjoy vacationing together. And then my wife Carolyn, her son and his wife, they have four children.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
kind of
There you
four
go.
four grandchildren through. through marriage, and they keep us busy. We had them last weekend, and it was a 7, 6, 4, and almost 2 year old. So it
Oh
keeps us
boy,
busy. Yep.
great in small doses.
Yeah. Yeah. No, they're a lot of
And
fun.
they're local, and they're in the local area, so it's
Yes,
easy.
they live here in Charlotte.
Okay, that's
Yep.
great. And then how about the rest of the kids? Is there a Corsi
Yeah.
diaspora, or they
Yeah,
all
no,
pretty local?
I think that there's four in Charlotte, one in Virginia. My son
Okay.
lives in Norfolk, Virginia right now,
Yeah.
but he'll be moving up to Ashburn near Scott Barrington when you had him on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and and then my bonus daughter, as we like to call our children, the bonus children. My bonus daughter is in the Navy. Actually, she's in Pensacola, so she's
Okay.
24-year-old down
Yeah.
in Pensacola.
All
Yep.
right. So who knows where she'll end up over time? But that's so you got enough to keep you busy locally, though.
Yes, yes, very much so.
Excellent. And so Charlotte, so work really brought you to Charlotte, but that's 96. So we'll go back through that. That's super interesting. That's a very stable location. Good for you.
Yeah, no. So I was working for a consulting company
Yeah. Yeah.
in Cleveland, and that was close to where I grew up. And then they opened an office in Charlotte, and so I moved to Charlotte in '96 to help open up the office. And then in '97, National Gypsum came a calling, and
Yeah.
they just been acquired by a local prominent investment family here in the southeast, and so I joined them as director of strategic planning, and then had a number of roles leading up to president of the drywall business, in a 21-year career there.
Yeah. Amazing. That's great. Now, Dover, Ohio is where you're from. That's near Cleveland,
It's about 75 miles south of Cleveland.
South
Yes,
Cleveland.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I'm a Dover tornado.
You're a
That's right.
Dover tornado.
And back in school, a lot of the guys in C1, were from the West Coast, and they couldn't travel back all the way for holidays.
Yeah.
So a bunch of them would come to Dover with me, and you know, Kevin Lauderyoung is one of my closest friends. Jerry O'Connor, Mike Lee, they all came to Dover, and so. One of the sayings in Dover, and Jim Radecki would say that when I had a few glasses of personality, I would talk about Dover all the time, and that Dover rocks. So
Yeah.
that became among the classmates.
Well,
They would
Dover is
say,
actually mentioned in your howitzer, like right up front. Like so, there's verification that Dover often came up. And well, how big a town was it in terms of size?
yeah, yeah, 11,000, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when the night they played the arch rival in football, if it was a home game, it was 15,000.
The whole
So,
town was there.
yeah, but no, great community to grow up.
And what got you interested in the academy?
Yeah, so my dad had been a Marine in World War II,
Hmm.
and he had always thought about the academies as something that he would love to see me be interested in, and
Uh-huh.
so when I was a junior in high school, he took me to Annapolis and to West Point.
Okay.
And yeah, so I really, I think Annapolis, they told me you better get working on your ACT and
Right. Right.
SAT,
Right.
and West Point said, hey, we like the whole person concept. We like the fact that you're in athletics, and you're in academics, and you have some leadership as well. So it just felt like a better fit for me, and
Uh-huh.
so I was fortunate to get a nomination from my congressman,
Yep.
and got in. So I went to the Ravenna Army Arsenal to do pull-ups next
Right.
to
And who'd you meet
Tim.
there at Ravenna? Because I would love
Yeah.
to. I'd love to have a little
So
camera, go back in time and see who was at Alameda
yeah,
Naval
so
Air Station when I was
that's
doing
when
my
I
pull-ups.
first that's when I first met Tim Knight,
Is that right?
And yeah, Tim Knight
That's
was there that day.
amazing.
Yeah, he was from Massillon, which is about 30 miles north of Dover. And
Absolutely.
then Mark Ledoux from Ashtabula.
Good for
Mark was
you
on
for
our
remembering them.
Yeah, Mark was on the baseball team.
Yeah.
But good friends and yeah, great people. My favorite Tim Knight story is I was in Beast and
Yep.
um, I finished Beast and I was just starting academics
Yeah.
and I was struggling academically. At least initially, it was kind of a shock, all the volume of work.
Yeah.
So I called home. You got to call home on Sundays.
Uh-huh.
And I called home to talk to my parents, and I was crying the blues about how hard academically it was,
Right.
and uh, and and they said, well, because my dad was a Marine, and I think Tim's dad was a Marine. His dad
Uh-huh.
was Dwayne, and they were good friends, and so my dad said, well, we talked to the Knights, and they said Tim does his homework for Monday on Saturday, and then he does his homework for Tuesday on Sunday. So he always stays 2 days ahead. Maybe you should try that. And I was like, oh my, come
That's
on.
wonderful advice.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I didn't get
That's
any
terrific.
sympathy.
Well,
No
Tim,
sympathy from my parents.
Tim was my Beast roommate, and so he was studying ahead of time all the way back at Beast. So, a
Yeah.
remarkable guy. What
Yeah.
um, what were your sports in high school? So I know you played football, plebe year. What was your sports coming out of high school?
Yeah, so football and baseball.
Okay.
I played a little basketball early, but football and baseball were my two favorite sports, and
Yeah.
yeah,
And did you
yeah,
walk on when you went to the academy, or did they know about you when you
I
went?
did, yeah, I was captain of the football team in high school, and glory days should be playing in the background,
Right, right.
so. But yeah, no, I walked on at Army. I played for a little bit there, my plebe year,
Yeah,
and then I had an injury, and then I played intramurals sophomore and yearling and cow year,
yeah.
and then senior year I was coach. I was coach of the C1 football team. We
Well,
went to brigade championship.
The C1 come out ahead on that one. So if you switch over to intramurals, and
Yeah, yeah, but I
good.
really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun, and we won the brigade championship the first game, and then there was I can't remember all the details, but we had to play it a second time, and we lost the second time. And to this day, Will Duke he has not forgiven the academy for
He's
making
still
us
unhappy
play.
about that. I hear about it every time I see him. He's still he does not let that one go. How did they?
No,
Did they give it to the other team, the other company?
yeah, we played the second time when we lost, and they said that was it. So anyway,
Well, that seems like
we
a
had a great team. It was a lot of fun.
right. And then so plebe year A4, part of the Wild West Battalion. How was that? You had some good characters there in that company with you.
Yeah, we did. So Kiekenmeister was my first roommate. You
Oh
remember
my
Keek?
gosh, that name still inspires fear in me. He was in my boxing class.
Yeah, so Keek was he was my first semester roommate, and then second semester I had Joe Meadows and Bill Carney,
Yeah,
the the Indiana duo,
yeah, yeah.
and anyway, that was great. They were great guys, and but then we went to different companies, and
Yeah.
C1 was just an amazing group of
You have
brothers.
a, you had an amazing group in C1. I
Yeah,
knew Jake Brown very well, and I still seem to know a lot of folks from that company even today. So RD was in
yeah,
that company. Goodness gracious, you had a great group.
yeah. Dan Hokinson.
Yeah, K
Yeah,
Hall. Yeah.
yep,
You had a good group.
yeah. No, a great group of guys. Steve Steffes and Mike Lee came down for
Yeah,
my 60th birthday.
he did.
Um, yeah, and yeah, Kevin Lauderyoung, Jerry O'Connor, and Rick Keller and we get together every year. We go to a different baseball game, and so
Yeah,
we kind of have a different. We kind of try to cover as many parks as we can, but that's a lot of fun getting together with those guys.
yeah, that's great. So how did you find so transitioning over to yearling year? How was that transition? Kind of used
Yeah,
to
it
the
was fine.
academics at that point and off and
It
running?
was fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I think one semester I was with Mike Lee and Steve Steffes, and then
Yeah.
another with Jerry and Kevin. And but yeah, C1 was just a great group. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I battled the dean as best I could, and
He's an
studied.
unforgiving character.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
What? So I looked at you, just glancing at your howitzer. You were very active. I mean, you were a member of the Glee Club, famously, and but also not just the Glee Club. You were quite active in several different clubs. Is that what was your attitude there, and how did you get involved in so much?
Yeah, no, I mean, there were a lot of interesting clubs there at school. And I think the Glee Club was really a way to get out. And
Sure.
we had some great trips. We got to go to Hawaii. We just had some wonderful trips. And to get out of to get out of the academy, your yearling year, and even your
Right.
cow year, being able to get away and just experience cities and meet other families, and it was a great way to get away. So I was in that club. We had some great trips. Howard, do you remember Howard Johnston, Hojo?
I do
Uh,
remember Hojo.
okay,
Yeah.
so Hojo was a character on those trips, and I have not seen him since graduation. I hope he comes to the reunion. Um,
We'll
he
have to track him down.
Yeah, no, he was a blast on those trips. But yeah, and then I did a few other clubs that meant something to me personally,
Yeah.
and then I was trying to set up the I think there was one on military engineers. I was trying to set up my career to go into engineers, and so it all that's what kept me busy.
And how did the interest in engineering and the engineer branch manifest? Because you did end up going engineers, but what was the what did you study? You were in the engineering discipline, I
Yeah,
know.
I studied engineering management, so that was my
Okay.
major. And I ended up taking the PE in
You
industrial
did.
engineering. Yeah,
High
yeah.
flyer. Good for you.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
have never stamped a drawing in my life, but I got that. Anyway, I guess growing up, my parents always said, that was a great profession to be an
Yep.
engineer. Decent at math, so boom, you're supposed to go engineering.
Yeah.
And it was it's a great foundation for business or for other. My business career has always had something technical related to it, and so I'm glad I went engineers. And so it was a good, yeah. And I was able to get credit for my experience in Korea and engineers,
Oh, really?
and
Okay.
even at Fort Leonard Wood, yeah, that counted toward um, taking the PE exam. You had to have 5 years of practical experience, and that counted in the state of Virginia.
Good for you. Well, you were one of the few of us that actually at least marginally used your degree. So, I mean, engineering management is a very intelligent choice if you look back and say, well, of all the things we're going to actually get ourselves into relative to managing people and all the rest. So, was there an inspiration for the branch or anything? It was just you just knew you were going to be an engineer and went in, or was there a moment at school where you because there was a lot of pressure to do other branches
Yeah.
at the time?
Well, when we had Buckner, we got to see all the different branches, and
Hmm.
we even went to Fort Knox. I remember that. And
You did, yeah.
but I liked the engineers, just the variety of what we did. Um, the mission, providing mobility and counter mobility to the combined arms team, and I mean, you did everything from clearing minefields to blowing bridges. And so I was interested in that at Buckner. And then when I think it was our first year, I worked with a guy named Lieutenant Colonel Kababa, who
Hmm.
ran the engineers, and or at school, he was one of the senior engineer officers. So he and I ran the for the yearlings for Camp Buckner. We ran that program to give the yearlings background on engineers, and
No kidding.
so that kind of solidified my interest in engineers.
Yeah, for
Yep.
sure. Right. Good for you. Now, the engineering group is a pretty high flying group, and the way we selected our posts back then was by class rank, and so that's a pretty ferocious group to go up against. How Korea was that a how did the Korea choice
That's
manifest
an
itself?
interesting story. And but you know, we had a practice round to choose where you were going to go, and then we had the real round. And the
I
practice
didn't know
round,
that. Yeah,
yeah, the practice round Korea was taken, and
right.
so I didn't think I was going to get it. And then the real round, it was open, and I thought, you know, it's a great way to learn the army. It's you know, so and at the time, the scuttlebutt, or at least what they told you, was choose Korea, go there for a year, and then
Right.
you get your choice of assignment coming back.
That
And I
was the
said, oh no,
scuttlebutt. Yeah.
that's right,
In
that's
all
right,
branches. That was the
yeah.
conventional wisdom for all branches, and it turns out to not be so.
Yeah, so I was in Korea. Yeah, it was you know, probably in the heat of the summer. I was halfway through, and I received a notice that all lieutenants from Korea are going to Fort Leonard Wood. That the Army is closing Fort Belvoir for the engineers and moving it to Leonard Wood, and they want experienced lieutenants. You know, talk about an oxymoron. But they
Yeah.
wanted experienced lieutenants to the new home of the engineers.
The new
So
command needed
yeah,
experienced lieutenants.
yeah. So you know, John Strickler, you know, a bunch of us were in that group that were sent to Leonard Wood,
Yeah,
and
that's right. John, John was over there. Tim was over there for a while, I think. Tim Knight, but he
Tim
was
came
later
after. Yeah, he came after I left.
due to his studies and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, how did that work in Korea? Because if we were on a base in the U.S., you generally start running into classmates, but in Korea, you were more spread out, right? So, how did that work in terms of running into people over there?
Yeah, I didn't run into a whole lot of classmates if they weren't in the second engineers. So I was in the second
Okay.
engineer battalion. My first platoon was a ribbon bridge platoon in Moonsan.
Uh huh.
And so that was just a platoon of engineers at a base that had artillery and like a battalion of artillery. And anyway, that was really interesting because our mission was to blow a bridge and then one of the only bridges that stood across the Imjin River, and then evacuate NATO forces north of the river you know, on one of the an unidentified location so that we'd smoke the river and then we'd go in and put the ribbon bridge in and then evacuate the forces
Right.
north of the river. And so we were in a pretty remote spot, but it was, you know, it was right up by the DMZ. But that was great training. I mean, I really enjoyed it. So I had 6 months there with the
Yeah.
ribbon bridge platoon, and then I went 6 months to a platoon that supported mech infantry, a task force there with the second infantry division.
Yeah.
So that second spot, Camp Castle was right next to Camp Casey, which was the headquarters for Second ID.
Right.
And so I did run into more classmates when I was there. But that was anyway. It was a great tour. I was there from Christmas of '86 to Christmas of '87.
Now, when you did the remote, that initial assignment, how did you live? I mean, was that were there
No, they
barracks
had
there, or what
barracks.
was the?
Yeah, they had
Yeah.
barracks, but they were we called them the swamp, just like Mash.
Yeah.
And, so we lived in the swamp. We had a Quonset hut,
Yeah.
and everybody had a cot, and yeah, it was fine.
Good. Yeah. 22 years old with not a lot of
That's right.
not a lot of
That's right.
complexity in life. Living in a Quonset hut's not so bad.
Yeah, yeah. No, it was a good mission.
Now you came back to Leonard Wood. What was the role there? Because I know you all had unique roles coming back because they were trying to set that command up, right?
Yeah, so I was an XO for a training battalion, and then I became
Mhm.
S3 for that training brigade. But you know, that was not. I mean, it was. I guess it was. I was not happy to go to Leonard Wood,
Yeah.
obviously, because I thought I'd have my choice of assignment.
Right.
But once I got assigned there, I made the most of it. Went to grad school at night at the University of Missouri
Yeah.
Rolla, which is now Missouri S&T. And in fact, I went to class with Strickler.
Yeah.
Homer.
He was telling the story about how quite a few of you guys were.
Yeah, yeah. We took a class in, geez, one that would have been 1988, 89. We took a
Yeah.
class on artificial intelligence.
Good gravy. Look at that.
Yeah, I
Class of
know.
'86 leading the way.
That's right. Well, Homer understood it. I didn't get it, but
Well, I think,
anyway, I
he's
passed the class.
yeah, he's another
Yeah,
one of those guys. You know what? If he, he's another one of those guys who was doing his homework on. Actually, he never did his homework. He just showed up and knew it.
yeah, yep.
So,
But at Leonard Wood, one of the other things I wanted to do was learn to fly. I'd always wanted to learn to fly little
huh,
single engine planes. So I picked that up there in started in Rolla, and then ended up getting my license down in Lebanon, Missouri, and I lived in a house with John Noble. So
okay,
yeah, John Noble was out there at the time too. So yeah, Nobes was a lot of fun. And
he's a lot
but
of fun.
I traded I had a Mustang out of school, and I
Huh?
sold the Mustang so that I could buy a little single engine Piper Cherokee,
You did. Look
1962
at
Piper
you.
Cherokee. Yeah. So I took lessons and got my license out there. And anyway, Noble would always say at night, Corsi, you don't buy a fixer upper airplane. You can buy a fixer upper car, but don't buy a
Right.
fixer upper airplane.
That's fine,
So
but an airplane,
yeah,
no.
that was Nobes. Yep.
And what was it? Where did that come from? Just one day it just caught your attention, or is that a childhood thing where you always were interested in aviation?
Yeah, I think I'd always had an interest, and then it was actually my company. I was an XO in the training
Mm-hmm.
company, and the company commander was a pilot.
Oh,
And so because he was doing it a lot, it gave me it kind of, I thought, what the heck. And so Leonard Wood, while it was wasn't my first pick, it worked out just fine. I mean, I made the
several
most of it. Went to
resources there for you to pursue your interest.
Yeah, yeah. I learned to fly, and I went to grad school, and so anyway, it was a good step toward. Ultimately, I decided to get out.
Yep.
That was when they were scaling back. Clinton was trying to scale back the military,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
they offered early outs, and I FedExed my application.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
And
yep.
where was your head and your interests as you got out? What was in your mind when you were going to get out? Enjoyed flying. You engineering
Yeah. Well, I wanted
management.
to.
What did you think you were going to do?
Yeah, I wanted to start a family and have a little bit more stable, be able to choose where I wanted to live
Yep.
and where I wanted to work and build a career, build a business career. So that was my
Hmm.
focus. And yeah, actually, when I got out, I went to work. In fact, got out just before Saddam Hussein invaded Kuwait. So I think if
Okay.
I had delayed a week or so, they put a freeze on people getting out.
Right. Right.
And and then my first daughter was born right when the war started
Hmm.
in February 1st of 91. So anyway, I'm thankful I got out when I did.
Yeah. Yeah.
Went to work for a class of '81 guy with Mike Munoz again, like talking about '86. I
Yep.
mean, Mike and I went to work in a factory in Chambersburg, Pennsylvania, and
Really.
yeah, yeah. I was the printing department superintendent, and Mike was the cut and crease department superintendent. So we
How did you
were,
guys know it? Did you just show up one day to work and there's a classmate, or how did that work?
yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they wanted to recruit some junior military officers, and so, but I don't think I met Mike until I was there.
Yeah.
But just a great guy. He and his wife are wonderful people.
A bundle of energy, Mike is. Very funny guy.
Yeah.
What and so engineering background, and you were in that was management of a department that did printing, right, inside that organization. Is that how
Yes.
did you find that?
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I always I would think about say I had 25 people and in that department, and but I would always connect them to the sergeants in Korea. I would always think about,
Yep.
they had similar attitudes to a sergeant singer in Korea or a different sergeant. There was always I could always relate them to. Oh, after I got to know them, I'd say, okay, this person's personality is similar to the way that sergeant handled things, and
Yep.
and I knew how to
That's
handle
a
that
great
that
compass, right?
sergeant.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. So it was anyway. It was great experience. I just did that for a couple years, and
Mhm.
then then opted to go back. I'd looked around and say, how do you progress in this company? And most of the officers in the company had MBAs, so I said I had to go back and get an MBA, and
Yeah.
so I did that, and then I got into consulting, and then that took me, like I said, from Cleveland to Charlotte.
So you had two master's degrees. Did you finish the one at Fort Leonard Wood?
I did, yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
had a master's in engineering management, and then I got the MBA.
Look at you go, stacking those accreditations up like crazy. And then, yeah, I saw from your LinkedIn you went to McKinsey right out of grad school. Is that right?
Yes, yes, I did. Yeah, the Cleveland office, great group.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, good experience up there, and like I said, 2 years there, and then they opened an office in Charlotte, and I decided to go ahead and move to Charlotte.
So you were in charge of the 25-ish folks at the manufacturing. You were relating it back to your military experience. How'd you find consulting? That's a very different lifestyle.
Yeah, it really was different, but it gives you a foundation for business issues, business challenges. I
Hmm.
mean, it gives you exposure to different functional challenges in
Right.
different industries. So, I did everything from steel manufacturing to banking to um, oil company. So it was a breadth of experience in both functions, and then kind of different challenges from strategy to implementation.
What
And
was the hot topic back then? I guess um,
yeah, it was
offshoring
cutting
was
cutting
hot, right?
costs. Yeah,
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 yeah.
the hot topic, which I don't think this topic goes away, but
Hmm.
my first project was what they call a total operational performance, which was cutting 40% of the cost structure in a steel
Yeah.
plant. And but that was kind of something that McKinsey did. And then also, I think the other big thing I learned were the levers in business around pricing and purchasing.
Hmm.
If you want to make more money, increase your price or get a lower price on what you're buying. And it was amazing. It's just simple concepts, but people made careers in consulting out of doing those well.
Right, because finding those concepts are simple like chess, right? You move the knight a certain way or the rook, but combining it all together into an organization that's been around for a while, it gets a little complicated. So you gotta suss it out, which is what you were doing. Super interesting. Yeah, I remember that period very well. And then down to Charlotte, and then that's when National Gypsum came calling.
Yeah, yeah, no, a great family, just a wonderful family had acquired National Gypsum and took it private,
Hmm.
and they were looking for somebody from McKinsey or one of the consulting firms to come in and do strategic planning, and so I joined in February of '97, and I had three
Wow.
years there. At
Yeah.
that time, I had two runs at National Gypsum. First was 3 years where I did strategic planning, and then I was a regional manufacturing manager, and
Right.
I had plants on the West Coast. And I went out to the West Coast one night, and I'd been in contact with Dean Dorman, who had just moved out
Yep.
there, and said, we want to come to dinner. And Dean was, he convinced me that, hey, this whole internet thing is going to change the world, and you need to come out here and join us. So anyway, a few months later, I ended up leaving National Gypsum, going out to the West Coast. I did a couple startups out there,
Okay.
and after 4 years out there, then I went back to National Gypsum, and then had another 18 years at National.
Oh, good for you though. Yeah, but you took a tour and all the crazy out there. Good for you. And
Yeah, I
which
mean,
part of California did you live in? Up in the Bay Area, San Francisco
yeah, it
area?
was the Bay Area. Yeah, yeah. We rented a home in Saratoga
Yeah,
initially,
very nice.
and
Very
then
nice.
uh, and then bought a home in Los Gatos,
Oh
which
yeah,
is
look at you.
wonderful place. Yeah, at the time, I remember having a hard time sleeping at night because I thought, how could this home be worth be worth this much? And I was nervous it was going to drop in value. And then you look back today, and it's worth like four times what it was, back
Yes.
then.
Yeah.
So California it's
I like to tell the
unbelievable.
story. Matt Eigel and I had dinner one time. Matt's from Palo Alto. I'm from Napa. And we were both bemoaning that we could never move back home. because we couldn't afford it. So,
That's right. Unless didn't they have
right?
that Proposition 13? Unless you
Yeah,
inherited
yeah.
it
We
from
were
your
both a couple of hometown boys who just
yeah
got priced right out of our own hometowns. But
yeah yeah.
um, yeah, so that's good you did that. But then, and how did that conversation go with National Gypsum? It's always interesting once you leave.
Yeah. So again, just a great family, and that own the company, and the CEO is he understood. Hey, I get it. You want to go do this, and we kept in touch. And then they had a challenge in their business with one of their senior leaders
Yeah.
passing away. It was 4 years later, and so he asked me to come back to
But
join.
this
And
time as a business head, like one of
yeah,
the departments. Yeah.
yeah,
It's funny. I'm
yeah.
going to say an old person thing, but if you think about when you were first recruited at National Gypsum and to be this wizard strategy person, you were 33 years old. And all the wisdom you had at age
you know
33.
you're not but you're leading teams that have the information,
That's
right?
right.
You're not trying to
Like
be
you
the
did in the Army.
yeah, that's right, yeah, you're just trying to bring the subject matter experts
Right.
together and provide a structure and then do an evaluation and make
Yeah.
recommendations and based on the input of the experts, not necessarily yourself. So anyway, and that
And
was
what was the
great.
first division you ran when you came back to
At
National
Nash,
Gypsum?
yeah. So I was head of business development, and I had
Okay.
as part of biz dev, I had two of the smaller business units: cement board and interior finishing products. And this gets into drywall, which may put you to sleep, but
No, man, that's
tape, texture, setting compounds, joint compound made up the interior finishing products, and so I was focused on growing those businesses, and then
yeah.
then got then took over the operations of the wallboard division and led operations there for more than a decade, and that's really I was manufacturing engineering responsible for 35 plants around the United States. We had a JV in Mexico, a couple operations up in Canada.
How many
But
companies were in that line of work? Like doing
yeah,
what
so
you did?
yeah, in the U.S. there's like eight in that line of work.
Isn't that
Yeah,
right? There
yeah.
were 8
In terms of
gypsum board
drywall.
manufacturers
Yeah,
or wallboard
yeah,
Look at
yeah.
that.
Gypsum is it's a great industry because of the weight of the product.
Yeah.
It's hard for Chinese competition. So it's pretty much a domestic manufactured product. It's and the chemistry behind gypsum's the only, and this gets into another one where if you're at a cocktail party and people are talking about investment banking or AI, and then you bring up gypsum and how drywall is made, everybody starts to come to your come to your discussion because they're fascinated by it.
Absolutely.
But yeah, gypsum's the only mineral that you can process it in a certain way, and it retains its rock-like state, so it's fire resistant. So a
Right.
5/8 inch thick board in a commercial building will take an hour. It's usually rated for an hour before a fire can penetrate it. So
Right.
so that's
So it's
one of
its
the
fire retardant qualities that actually makes it the superior. That's interesting.
that's
I didn't
right.
know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Man,
My
who said this podcast was not about a lifetime of learning, man?
my my youngest daughter, she gave me for Christmas one year a list of like the 10 things that I like about Dad, and one of them was you never fail to bring drywall into the conversation. So I'll be sure to let her know that the podcast was
You
no
know
different.
what? There it is, man.
Yeah,
Oh, that's terrific. Now the family. By the time you had the three when you were in that phase
yeah,
of life, right?
yes, yep,
And they all came up. Okay, and so the National Gypsum, and you worked your way up to be the president of that division, which is terrific.
yeah. I was. I'm trying to remember the exact title, but president of building
Yeah,
products / operations. And but yeah, I had been head of manufacturing engineering for over a decade, and then took over that role as president of operations.
what was it about that line of work that kept you engaged? So all the way back at West Point, you were interested in engineering, and what was it that you really? Because you have to have
Yeah,
a
it's
certain amount of
really
fuel that you're getting from that, right?
Yeah, no, it's the people. It's the chance to make a difference for people. So, on a couple fronts, one is just the normal. You've got a lot of leaders that you're providing leader development to,
Hmm.
and in helping them achieve greater opportunities in the company and building success for themselves and their families. But the other was with the hourly workforce. I mean, we had
Hmm.
of when I joined National Gypsum, we were 80% union, 20% non-union, and when I left, we were 80% non-union and 20% union.
Wow, that's a
And
big shift. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. So during that time, over the decade that I was responsible for manufacturing and operations, we decertified eight different plants, three different unions, and so to see that, I mean, that was like democracy in action. To see a
Yeah, yeah.
decertification
That's
vote
complicated.
take place in a union factory, you can't do it as leaders. You can only provide an environment for someone to be willing to take a petition around and get other workers to sign it.
Right.
And once you got the 51%, you no longer had to negotiate. So, but that was pretty cool to see the hourly teams come together and
Hmm.
want to be free, if you will, from the union environment. So that kind of fueled me for sure. Was the ability to see people grow and improve their livelihoods. It was pretty cool, and I love
At
the
any one
company.
time during that, how many people would work directly for you? And the reason I ask that is that those are the number of people you had to coach, mentor, replace if
Yeah,
they
I
moved
mean,
on, and all
directly,
that.
I might have had a team of around 10 reporting to
10,
me,
yeah.
but we had about 1,500 people in the lines of responsibility in the
Yeah,
plants
yeah.
that I was responsible for. And yeah, no, it was great company. Again, the family
Yeah.
was terrific, but I wanted to do more. And so in 2022, I had an opportunity to be a chief operating officer for $1.5 billion manufacturing company based in Chicago.
Yeah.
And so I took that job, and we had it was two companies, one based in Ohio and one based in Wisconsin, that merged together. And
Hmm.
private equity, KKR and Leonard Green were the owners. And my job was to come in and to get Buckeyes and Badgers to get along,
Yeah.
and because they were fierce competitors and they hated each other. And so that was a fun role, and I did that for a couple years, and then I
How
had
did
the
you
opportunity.
approach that? Because that's a non-trivial. When you take two competitors, there's a lot of culture, there's a lot of story, there's a lot of
Yeah.
natural rivalry there. How did you address that?
Yeah, no, you have to say we're going to bring the best of both worlds, and we're going to
Hmm.
take the best of both companies, and that's directionally where we want to go. And then you got to get people together in a room. I mean, COVID had happened, and so when I arrived, and I remember having a winter meeting in Wisconsin, in Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, where I had the room rate was really low.
Yeah,
It was,
right.
but we had
Uh,
we had the leaders of both companies, from Superior, Wisconsin, and from around Madison,
uh-huh.
Ohio, come together. And anyway, it was you just got to get people together. People have to talk,
Right.
and you have to work through issues. And but if you have the spirit of we're going to bring the best of both companies together and we're going to beat the competition, and it's not, no longer are we competitors, or the person across the room isn't your competition. It's
Mhm.
the company outside these walls that's our competition. And
Right.
how can we bring the best of both worlds to beat them? And that kind of, that it sounds very basic and simple, but those are kind of principles you learn in the Army too.
Right. Absolutely. It all goes back to those sergeants in Korea, right? In a way, right?
That's right.
But
Yep.
anyway, you have to get over the fear of change and all this kind of stuff to get you. That's the leadership part. Super interesting work, though. So you did that for a couple of years, and then um, that took you to how close does that get us to where you are now?
Yeah, yeah. So then I had an opportunity to join as a CEO for North America for this
Okay.
company called Grenzebach.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's a variety of businesses, three primary building materials, which is We make process equipment for gypsum manufacturing, for glass manufacturing, for like fiber cement, like James Hardy.
Hmm.
We make the equipment that these companies use to manufacture their products. So that's building materials. Another is power and energy. The company up in Cleveland, in Beechwood, Ohio, they assemble power distribution units used for data centers, and that's taken off. And then the third business is a startup in Noonan, Georgia, for data center solutions, and we're bringing automation and robotics to the handling of servers, so that the servers are getting heavier, more expensive, and to make
Hmm.
sure that that they're not damaged in transit, and then and a number of other ways to use automation inside data centers. So
Yeah.
that's a startup business, and that's just taken off.
Data center's a hot topic. You can call Strickler, get his notes, right? Hey,
All right,
all the
I
way
know,
back.
I know.
Let's
Yeah,
get dust off those old AI notes.
yeah,
Now, the kids when you merged your families were just at the end of high school or middle of high school. What was the youngest as you brought that whole
yes,
program together? Yeah.
yeah. So that they were. So one had. So my oldest, uh, Katie, she went to Auburn University and she had
Hmm.
graduated. My son went to Embry Riddle down in Florida, and
Okay.
he was in the middle of school. And then my youngest, Lizzie, she was still in high school.
Okay.
And then so Lizzie, and then my wife's youngest, Anne, they lived together here in the house for a while.
Hmm.
And as they grew up, and so they're pretty close. And Katie lived here with us a while when she finished school, finished
Right.
Auburn. So that they're all. I mean, all six are just wonderful children, and I
Yeah.
mean, I was really lucky to find. I'd gone through the divorce in 2008,
Hmm.
2009, 10, and then was very fortunate to find Carolyn, my
Yeah.
wife now. She's a wonderful person, and
Yeah.
yeah, so we married in 2013,
Yeah.
and then have the blended family with the four grandchildren, and hopefully there will be more.
There you go. Well, without a question, with your volume, you're going to have more for sure. So
All right.
you had two at home, and then the other four were at various stages. That's a lot going on. 12 years.
Hmm.
Good for you.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great. And so how do you keep in touch with classmates? What's your? I had a chance to see you down. Jay Millen threw a little shindig down in Charlotte, and we had a chance to catch up in person, which was great.
Yeah.
What other stuff do you do with? Or who can we catch up with here on the podcast?
Yeah, so I mean, Kevin Lauder Young is my closest friend. He
Hmm.
actually married a high school classmate of mine, so
Really?
he understands Dover, Ohio. Yeah, yeah. So he married a high school
If
classmate of
only he knew
mine.
more about drywall, he'd be a
That's right.
perfect guy.
Yep, yep. So I keep in touch with Kevin and
Yeah,
Jerry O'Connor.
yeah,
We're old roommates from C1,
yeah.
and then and Rick Keller. So we get together pretty frequently. But the C1 gang gets together pretty regularly also.
You do,
So
yeah, yeah. You guys
and I
do,
come down to Charleston for on vacation occasionally and
yeah,
catch up with Will and Jay and anyone else in that area.
yeah, yeah.
So that's how I keep up with classmates.
That's great. And you guys have a little text list. Sometimes the company text lists are great. They keep us all connected. Very easy to do.
Yeah, we
Um,
just got a note yesterday. Mark Merritt became a grandpa.
there you
So
go.
yeah, and
Congratulations
everybody
to Mark
piled in.
as
Yeah,
of this
Hope's
day.
down in Jacksonville. I mean, everybody kind of keeps up to date with what they're doing.
Grandchildren and retirements. Most of the news coming out now, but it's all
Yeah,
good.
that's right.
All good.
Jake's pretty quiet though. He doesn't say a whole lot.
I
So
keep up with Jake just because we were in the plebe company together. He's doing well.
okay,
He's up there
okay.
in the
Yeah,
Connecticut
I
area.
visited him in New York a few times. So Jake and I were in Korea together, and
Yeah, that's right.
I'll finish
That's
on a
right.
Jake story. So in Korea, you know, he had a battalion commander, believe it or not, Lieutenant Colonel Strange,
Hmm.
and Colonel Strange was his battalion, and I had a platoon that supported, like our engineer platoon supported his mech infantry task force, and
Uh-huh.
anyway, we would have some some exercises, field exercises, and one time my platoon went with his platoon, and we got on Blackhawks, and we did a training exercise, and anyway, it was a lot of fun. But Jake would always complain about Colonel Strange because he asked him to, he would do the inventory of equipment
Yeah.
audits, and Jake, rather than just go give extra equipment to your Samoan sergeant that had his own, they had their own supply chain.
So methods.
And rather than just hide it for the inspection, Jake wanted to argue with the battalion commander that there might come a day when he would need that equipment, and that's why he had it. So
That's right.
anyway, that's
Right.
Jake just could not get over Colonel Strange in Korea. So
Right. Well, Jake after Korea went to Fort Stewart, and that's where I
that's
ran
right.
back into him. And we have some funny stories about Desert Storm and inventory. So we now know Jake's version of wallboard is inventory in the Army.
That's right.
That's
Yep.
great stuff. Well, is there anything we haven't covered in this catch up with you, John?
No, I think that covers it. I appreciate you having me on. I think again, I want to thank all my classmates. I mean, it's just a wonderful group of people to be part of 86, and I appreciate what you're doing to keep everybody together.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and it was great catching up. And we'll catch up hopefully in Charleston next time you're down, seeing the crew and seeing you at the reunion. Hopefully, it was great.
Yes,
Great catching
yes,
up
I'll
with
be
you,
there.
man. Yeah, thanks,
Yep.
John. All right.
All right. Thanks, Paul.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Courage Never Quits podcast, where any member of the class of 1986 who is willing to tell their story will be a guest. To get the word out and stay up to date on the latest episodes, hit the like and subscribe button. With over 900 living graduates, we have a lot of stories to tell, and you don't want to miss any of them. We'll see you in the next episode.